Hi, friends. Happy full moon in Capricorn. My name is Latoya from Emerald Astrology. I'm an intuitive astrologer and I love talking about the moon. And today we're going to talk about moon in Capricorn. Finally in my new space. So it's been taking some time to get situated, but moved closer to the new moon in Cancer. So I'm really excited to be in my new space and now I get to share what this Capricorn full moon is all about. Um, so I'm riding the wave with you. So the full moon happens on Wednesday, July 13th at 1:37 p.m. Central. So do your time zone thing. It's going to be 21 degrees in Capricorn. So wherever Capricorn is placed in your chart, you want to take a look because that's where the full moon will be revealing some things about you and this, in this area of your life and what needs to just be brought to your attention. So the full moon is all about it's basically like a moment, a combination of something that's in the area of your life. So it could be, a relationship, it can be your home, it can be your career, it can be your job, it can be your reputation, it can be your perspective on life, your identity, as an individual. So many different things, but just depends on where Capricorn is placed in your chart. And full moon is also about celebrating what you've accomplished or dodged, and just really taking a moment to take in your environment and receive the meaning of what you've been through. So it's good things when the full moon comes up. It's also a time where emotions run high, and so I just want to be aware of that and be really kind to yourself if you can, because we're going through a lot, and especially with this full moon in Capricorn, there's going to be a lot that's going to be revealed, or leading up to the full moon. If you're sensitive like myself, you'll start seeing um, the meaning or the manifestations of the full moon leading like a week or a week and a half leading up to the full moon in Capricorn. um and or right when the full moon goes exact, it's going to be on July 13th, so that's when that culminating moment happens. So Capricorn is all about ambitious goals, order, and also could be about fear and insecurities. So a lot of the stuff that the things that we're trying to achieve in our life is going to be front and center, and then also what fears we may have around these things, and then our insecurities of saying like why we're not competent enough to achieve that, or why we don't have enough resources to do that, et cetera, et cetera. So all this is going to be could be coming up with the full moon in Capricorn. And in this video, I'd like to address how to work through this, and so that you can continue on forward. So Capricorn's element is earth, and mode is cardinal. So the way it works, the way it moves, the way it likes to function is a very cardinal kind of way, cardinal earthy way. So cardinals, it's all about initiating things, getting things started, and with it having to do with earth, this would have to do with like material things, your things that you were wanting to create over time, because Capricorn's ruler is Saturn, and Saturn's all about time and working with realistic, working with reality and being really realistic with what you have and what you can do, and the resources that you have available to you at this time. So we have everything. I like to think that we have everything we need to get to where we want to go. We just have to be willing to, budget the time, budget our energy, budget our money, and really put in, these things in our life in the right order so that we can make those right steps up to, the mountain of achievement. So Capricorn really brings this front and center to all of us and how we can do this in an area of our life. Now, the moon in Capricorn is in detriment, so she doesn't feel very comfortable in this sign. The moon comfortable in the opposite sign, Cancer. Um, and that the moon loves to be comforted and held and feeling safe, but in Capricorn it's not necessarily concerned about like the feeling of safety. It's more concerned about security in the future. Like, am I doing the things now to make sure that I have the security that I need, the food, water, shelter, the career that's going to help me continue to save the money that I want to have so that I can eventually retire, so that I can eventually start this business, so that I can eventually have this family, whatever it is that your big goal is. The moon in Capricorn is more concerned about these things and what needs to be done or adjusted in our lives so that it can be actually achievable. So, the moon really wants to just relax and be in its bed and I just be at home. It's more now in Capricorn at work and concerned about work and how much effort do I put into something? What resources that I have so I can put into this so that I can actually be, manifested the security that I'm ultimately looking for in the long term, not just in the immediate moment. Um, And so with that too, there's this difficulty and understanding what your emotions are saying, your feelings are saying, because you're so concerned about the external world than the internal. So whenever the internal starts to come up and show like, hey, these things aren't right, that can come up as you know, fear, surface level as like a fear and anxiety and not doing things right, or I'm not doing things enough, or I'm not enough. These kinds of things will start to mess with you when really your feelings are trying to get you to pay attention to this. What I'm doing right now is not the right thing for me to do. So with moon in Capricorn, you're having to take time to really understand what is it that you're actually feeling. And it's not going to be readily available as it would be in moon in Cancer. I hope that makes sense. And with the full moon, we're still in Cancer season, so we still have that awareness of what we want in our based off of our home, for our family, and finding security in these things as well as within ourselves, and making sure our sacred space is together, that we're staying in tune with what we need and want. um, and so now that we're having this relationship with the sun and Cancer, moon and Capricorn, and it being in opposition and not making the full moon, or the sun shining its full light on the moon, there's this need or to figure out how to build boundaries around what matters most, so that where our attention's on, we're having to feel our way through what makes us feel secure and creating balance boundaries around those things so that stuff don't start mixing. Like I'm thinking, your family, you really have your attention on your family and wanting to be present with your family, but your work is starting to say, hey, we need this extra thing. We need this extra, this project done more sooner than expected. Can you do this? And really, you had planned to be with your family. And these two things actually matter in your life, because your job supports your family, is very fulfilling and supports you. And, so you're going to have to go back into the world and work and all that stuff. So having to find the right boundary around the things that matters to you is, I think, is coming up during this full moon in Capricorn, more so. And so putting your awareness on that and how you need to be more stern with yourself and those around you, or just the area that Capricorn rules. So that everything has its place and yeah, just not crossing over. So like I mentioned with the sun in Cancer, moon in Capricorn, now that we're going into the aspects, the focus is on the family, focus is on yourself, focus is on the home. As for me, I moved, and now it's the Capricorn. For our feeling nature, intuitive nature, and Capricorn is concerned about, how is everything going to be working together so that we can ultimately achieve the thing that we're really wanting out of life. Like, maybe, this certain season of your life are wanting to pursue family, and but you still have to work. So having to find that where the boundaries are placed there is really important to figure out and find new meaning, with this full moon. And so, these things are at odds with each other and they're in opposition. So having to figure out that balance is important. And then there's also Mercury in the mix here. I don't know if I can share my screen. This might looks weird, but um, Mercury is actually in the mix here. So if we're looking right here, Mercury is in the mix, and um, this could be, very. I'm gonna stop recording. Oh no, no, I'm not. I'm gonna stop sharing because it's kind of see me double times. I don't know. Um, So Mercury, right in the mix of all that, it's so Mercury is the planet of the rational mind, and with it being in opposition to the moon, it's like this. The rational mind is in conflict with the intuition, or the rational mind is in conflict with the emotional mind, and especially with it being in a superior conjunction to, the sun. Um, so the mind is moving really fast, and it's making it really hard to grasp the information or be able to communicate what is actually coming through. And so the need for balance of, like, you're taking all this information in this area of Cancer. Mercury is still in Cancer at this time, and so having to really um, like receive the information that you need about your Cancer situation, the place that Cancer rules for you, and find a balance between what you intuitively know that Capricorn is telling you, that needs to be addressed, so that there is and then finding a balance between the two, because there's a lot going on over here, but there's also these things that you really need to be concerned about because the moon is highlighting this area, revealing something here. Um, and then also the moon will be conjunct Pluto. So moon in Capricorn is conjunct Pluto, and that's in 27 degrees in Capricorn. And so it's applying this aspect and getting closer to Pluto, and therefore stuff starts really opening up. Like our psyche opens up. We're starting to get a lot of insight on things that we find that we get are very paranoid about, have paranoia, around, or fear. And I see this overall that this is a great opportunity to address what needs to change and find practical means of doing it. So I think this is, although the moon conjunct Pluto is a difficult placement. Yeah, me as a native, I have moon conjunct Pluto. It's not easy, but it can be achieved. It can be done, and really, it's just really letting yourself. Just be in the space of when stuff comes up, there's like very intense emotions coming up because everything Pluto touches, it intensifies. And so not only is it intensifying your emotions, but it's also your intuition and about something, in Capricorn. So really giving yourself that opportunity to just be with yourself, and you're wanting to act out, react to this feelings that you're having, but really it's good to just find a way to get grounded, doing breathing exercises, and get some insight of like why you're paranoid about the situation and what changes do you need to do and take so that this is no longer a thing that holds you back. Um, One of I guess like a way that's coming to mind is like maybe you're paranoid about your family's income, because Moon and Capricorn's very much concerned about, finances and stuff, and because that helps you get your material needs met. And so maybe you're paranoid about, how your family is going to make money, but you also don't want to have to go to work. Like, let's say you're a stay-at-home parent and your partner, your spouse, whatever is the one that's working, but you're having this like paranoia that you're going to lose money somehow. Like, maybe it's your spouse loses its job, maybe it's, they leave for whatever reason, or they withhold money for whatever reason, or they don't receive their checks for whatever reason, something like that. So you might be afraid and you start to get really panicky about this. And then instead of like reacting to it, really sit with it and figure out like, this could happen, this, although it's scary, this could happen. So what could I, this is you asking yourself, what can I actually do to make sure that the family is empowered in this situation? And, sometimes that would be, maybe you will take the chance on starting your business. Maybe it's you taking a chance on finding a job that makes it easy that is flexible so that you can still be with the family, but you also take care of the financial stuff that the family needs as well. Um, you'll start to allow yourself to be with the paranoia, the fear, and see the truth in that, because there is an element of truth, and this has happened plenty of times for me with that moon and Pluto. I'm telling you that it's scary, but the thing that you would realize is once you face it, you are empowered to take some really wild action, or that action that really empowers you. And so I just wanted to say, like, definitely sit with it, don't dismiss it, don't suppress it, look at it and see that, okay, this could be possible. So how can I empower myself so that if this does happen, we're covered. And if not, we're just saving more money for the future, for the rainy day. With Capricorn, you kind of have to be stoic. Like, they're really good stoics, and Moon and Pluto, stoic people. So yeah, just taking on a little bit of that stoicism is going to be really helpful during this full moon. Um, and also, this moon square Chiron, it's separating from this aspect. And, these sore wounds are going to be opening up. So these are old wounds that are coming up, and you're just kind of like, God dang it. I thought I got rid of it. I thought I cleared it. I thought I got the healing I needed to do. And there's just this other layer that needs to be healed. And so that's just coming up. It has actually probably already happened. And so you're still in that process of cleaning that up and addressing that wound, and which is okay. But with this, the moon also trines Uranus in the north node, and sextiles the south node. And so we're breaking up old patterns, and with great force, with anything that north node touches, that like how my one of the astrologers like to follow Austin. He says it's basically being like injected with steroids. So it's just kind of like really, energetic and just kind of heightened even more. So with this moon trine Uranus and North Node, we're be able to break through these patterns with great force, and releasing old burdens that are they're no longer supportive. So it's all good. It's tough, but it's good. And so how can you actually make the most of this moon? Um, there's this drive to keep doing what you have always been doing. Um, but as the ruler of this moon, Saturn, is currently retrograde. With it being in retrograde, we must also backtrack on our story of um, like what's being brought up, this fear that's being brought up, like where does it come from? And Saturn has to do with authority, has to do with your inner responsibility, taking on your inner responsibility, and or I'm saying that taking on responsibility for yourself, um, And so we're having to backtrack and really think through and making sure that we are uh, walking on a path that we really want to be on that's actually going to give us great return. So for during this time, it's going to be good for us to create the space for introspection, as I was explaining earlier, and really look at studying your Capricorn house and figure out, what's the message there for you. What fears are coming up, and how can you make sense of them so that you know what you've been through, you know where you are, and you know what you can do to make sure you're on the right path when you're moving forward. Um, and another thing too, because like when you do this introspection, fears and anxiety and pain is going to be coming up. And a thing that you just got to remember is that you are no longer there. If that fear, that pain comes up and you're just kind of like basically get triggered again, it's okay to, don't dwell on it more. Just remind yourself like, hey, I'm not experiencing that right now. Maybe identifying where you are, saying like, for me, it's like, oh, I have blue walls here, I have Archangel Michael on this wall, I have this lamp. This helps you realize that you are in a different space. You're no longer that child self that might have been carrying this wound with you. And helping you realize that, yeah, you're no longer in that space. You're no longer experiencing that and no longer have to experience that. Because Pluto will show you, those past things that's happened and wounds that are still with you, but ultimately needs to be released. And once you realize that you're no longer in that situation, and you don't have to keep up the conditions that support it to continue to perpetuate. Um, that's when you get to own in the who you are in the moment, that you are actually an adult and no longer that child. Now you can protect yourself. Now you can create boundaries. You can create the spaces that is for you. You can protect what truly matters to you. Because the sun in Cancer has been really showing us what really matters to us. And the moon in Capricorn is like, okay, and what boundaries are you setting in place to protect these things that matters the most? So what matters is your safety. What matters is your security, your family's security, your family's safety. If they are good, if they're good for your mental health, what's good for your mental health is necessary to protect. And yeah. So that's the message I have for you for your full moon in Capricorn. If you're wanting a full moon reading, so that get some insight on what this moon is showing for you, and understand the placements and aspects that it's also taking on your chart, you could definitely purchase your moon reading with the link below. That's available for you. And if you're just wanting to continue on this moon and astral journey with me, sign up for the newsletter. That link is also below. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great full moon in Capricorn. Bye.